Warning, listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. I was watching an old episode. What was this? One Nickelodeon or something? An old episode of Batman, the old days of Batman. And I started thinking, Batman, Superman, these superheroes. What if it wasn't them that made them the superhero? What if it really was just the suit? What if anyone could put on that suit and be able to accomplish and get the outcomes that Batman and Superman, could provide, the things that they could do, the help that they provide. And it really got me thinking about, I wish someone would explore that. If someone just found the suit, put it on, and maybe they would turn into Superman and Batman. And as serendipity would have it, my guest today has kind of put together that suit in the area for financial advisors, because so many financial advisors out there are, thrashing. They're providing services and just casting a wide net, trying to generate revenue. Where if they had that utility belt, if they had that cape, if they had that just that system that could turn them into that superhero just by putting it on. And that's what really made me think that that's what my guest today has. And my guest is Stephen Swensen. He's the founder of The Last Advisor, which is a practice management platform. And to me, it is that suit that he's put together, because a lot of people, when they think of platforms, they think of just software, but this is so much more than software, in the fact that it's software, but it's also marketing pieces, client education pieces. It's almost like a done for you system that answers and fills in so many holes, and not just adds what people can do, financial advisors can do, but it also easily gives them, I guess, what I would call that X-ray vision to eliminate the things that maybe they think are building their business, but are really, really costing them business. Stephen Swensen, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hey, thank you. I'm happy to be here with you.
All right. So I was excited when I see this, because anytime I see someone that can put something together that folks can step into to improve their lives, obviously that's what I would consider an influencer. So let's kind of jump right into this. The Last Advisor practice management platform. Those are three big words, and I want to figure out exactly what that is and what it does for the folks that are using it, and really kind of how it evolved and came about. Let's start right there. What is it that the genesis of this practice management platform, Last Advisor, and where did you start with it and kind of have it unfold to the things that it does?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've been a financial advisor for nearly 20 years now. And I look back on my career and realize that the last 10 years have been very, very different than the first 10 were. And the reason the last 10 have been so much different are that I found my niche. I found a strategy that I was comfortable with. I found a system that was duplicatable with every single client. Early in my career, I did everything that everybody always does when they start out in this business, with seeking referrals, ads in newspapers. I even am embarrassed to say that I did billboards on the side of the street to try to generate a way to find new people, a way to be referred to more people, and none of that worked. So over time, I finally found a strategy a strategy that I was comfortable with, a strategy that I could use with all of the ideal clients that I had in my book of business. And then I utilized them to get me in front of people that looked like them, smelled like them, talked like them, and had the same size investment account as them. And so it was definitely a work in progress for the first 10 years of my practice or my career, but it has been a bonanza since then.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you face a problem that a lot of professionals face, whether it's in, health, finance, legal, is that you were good at what you did. It wasn't that you were searching for a better way to help your clients or a better system that was successful for your clients. You had a successful system. And like a lot of folks, they think if I have that successful system, I build it, they will come, but they don't. And you realize that, okay, now you have to take your hat off and become a business builder, not just, the work that you do for your clients. You have to figure out how to build your own business around that. And that gets frustrating for people because they spent so much time learning their craft and realizing that that's just not enough to make themselves successful with this. So, and I know there's a lot of financial planners in that situation. So, you were in that situation and realizing that, okay, I know what kind of clients I need. I know that I'm not out there. The billboards aren't working. The ads aren't working. What was it that when you finally kind of had that V8 moment and realized what would work?
Good question. Well, I'll tell you, I came to the strategy, and I mentioned strategy in my last answer, but I came to the strategy because I got tired of having to resell myself to every single client on every single account review. I got tired of competing on performance alone, investment performance alone. And so I needed to find a strategy that was less about performance and more about stability and security and knowledge for the client. And so that when I finally found that, I needed then a way to sell it to my clients. I needed a way to teach that to them so that when they came into my office every 6 months for a review, I didn't feel like I had to resell them on what we were doing. And so that was very, very key. But I remember attending a seminar on gaining referrals, and it really talked about how we had to find out what we were good at. We had to really decide whether we were referable. And so when I found the strategy and when I saw the lights flip on for the client, I knew that I was referable. Now I just needed a systematic, consistent way to parlay that referability into names that I could sit in front of. And then, of course, the platform really evolved in making a track or building a track that I could run every single client down so that I wasn't spending hour and a half, 2 hours preparing for an account review because I had to remember, now, why did we do this? What did we do here? Which investments did we use? Once I've got everybody on the platform, on the track, case prep and presentation, it just becomes habit because it's all the same.
Yeah, and so that's one thing I wanted to talk about because you said something in there that I think is important. You talked about the performance, being picked or judged on performance with clients and prospects, because one of the things in your industry, obviously, is most people think about financial advisors. Well, let me see what their benchmarks are compared to whatever charts I see out there today, right? What the graphs are, and
exactly,
and
it's a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's not that you're trying to. It sounds to me, it's not like you're trying to push that off or to distract them from that. But the realities are the financial benchmarks or success benchmarks aren't something that are gauged at a day to day. That the most successful investment advisor in the world does not have the top charts every single day, and probably that's probably the rare, if ever, exception that they're number one for a day, right?
Absolutely, and that's a great question, because performance is still important. Don't get me wrong, and it's important to clients as well, but it now becomes the second or third item on the agenda in our account reviews. It's not the leading discussion point, and it's not the sole reason they stay with me or leave me. Performance is important, but because the strategy is understandable and so well executed in this system, performance is not the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, and I think
if that makes sense.
It does make sense, because, one of the things that when people choose an advisor, and I've been in this boat before, and I've worked with, family members that have been in this boat before, when they want to choose an advisor, and the reason, one of the only reasons they use this as a benchmark is because it's the only thing that they even know to look at, right? Is that measurement. And what happens is they pick them today because of what their track record is today. But then tomorrow, when their numbers are below the average even, they start to panic because they don't understand the principles behind that, or they don't even understand the basic principles of this investment advisor's, school of thought around that. It sounds to me, from our discussions, is that you spend time in your system, the platform actually educates those clients around the investment strategy, so that if something is not at the top one day, it's not a panic situation. And even when things look grim on the news financially, it's not a panic situation, because it's something that's been anticipated, and they have at least a fairly, reasonable explanation about how this works and that expectations, right? And so that's exactly right. So that changes the benchmark, because now they're buying and choosing you because you're an educator and an advocate for their financial success, rather than, look, he scored the highest today, right?
Exactly. When they understand that some money in their plan will not be spent for 10 or 15 years, and therefore we use different investments than the stuff they're going to spend tomorrow and next year and in 5 years, they then understand that there's different investments that perform differently in different markets, and they're made up of different things, and they have a purpose. No longer do I just ask them to give me all their money, trust me, and call me when you need some. They know where I put it, why I put it there, and when we anticipate using it. It's beautiful.
So bottom line is what you do is you don't, and then the people that use your platform, they don't build a client base based on selling a scoreboard. They build a client base based on selling a solid strategy that folks feel confidence in. And I guess that's why I pick a financial advisor is I'm buying confidence rather than the scoreboard.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You're selling them a strategy. And what we've done with the platform is give the advisors tools to promote the strategy, not just to prospects, but to their clients, because their clients are going to feed them the best prospects.
Yes.
And we grab you by the hand and we show you exactly how it works. In fact, advisors that use the platform use the very, very same introduction packet that I use. Advisors that use the platform, they make that same presentation in the same folder that I do. And
that's what I love about it. That's why I use that Batman analogy. You're giving them the suit. Yeah. It's the proven suit that works. Doesn't matter who's in it.
Exactly. And so I don't think that the success I've had as an advisor is because I'm smarter than the next guy. It's just that I found a system to put everybody through, and a system that does the heavy lifting for me. It's beautiful.
Right. Now, there's a lot of folks out there, and I know in insurance and financial advice and legal, there's tons of software out there, and a lot of people, may think, okay, well, I have some software that does this and helps, with my business. But clearly, if they find themselves in the situation that a lot of them find themselves in, it's probably not doing what they need to do. One of the things that I really jumped out at me is when you talked about how your platform, it streamlines, it helps someone identify their most profitable streams of revenues in their business, and allows them to, what I would call confidently, dump the things that aren't profitable. And sometimes that's very hard for people to identify. And you talked about when you early on, you would be, selling products and services that had a price tag on it because it would generate revenue. But the bottom line is they were probably costing you opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of how you got out of that to that? And that's kind of really the secret of how you could grow your business that much quicker.
Yeah, very good question. I was, in other words, trying to be all things to all people. I would sell whatever I needed to sell to generate some revenue, even if the margin was very thin and the work effort and the workload was very, very high. What this platform does is allows an advisor to define a market and to use products he's already familiar with, whatever those are, whether they're annuities or mutual funds or separately managed accounts, and create referrals and create clients and prospects that just lend themselves well to those products and the revenue associated with that model. So you made the observation that it really was instrumental in just defining what was the most profitable part of my business, and not just financially, but also emotionally, and then figuring out a way to duplicate that profitable part, that just define what it was that made, that made my practice go, and do it over and over and over and over and over again. Now I don't even think about selling some of the products I did early in my career.
Right. And so once you identify that and you're able to, it breaks through those barriers to grow. So let's put some numbers to the concepts. When you were starting out, just a ballpark, what I'm not even sure what an average financial advisor earns, but what kind of numbers are we talking about as far as what you would earn as a typical financial advisor?
Well, obviously, those first few years were very thin as we're getting the hang of it. But I would say after 8 or 10 years of doing this, I was a very consistent $80,000 to $100,000 a year producer.
Okay, and so $80,000 to $100,000, people, they live lives, send kids to college, go on vacations, doing that.
Yeah, it was.
But also, I see people that are working their tail off to make that $80,000, and they kind of hit a ceiling to where there is no room to do more, right?
And that's where I was at. I just 80 to 100,000 was good enough to get by on. It really was, but I sure worked for it, as do so many other advisors.
And so when you decided that, enough is enough, or you start identifying the things that you've integrated into the into your platform, into the Last Advisor platform, what did you start seeing happening as far as, increased effort versus increased revenue or income?
Yeah, good question. Well, last year I produced $800,000 of production, and interestingly, if we use round numbers, going from 80 to 800, I didn't increase my workload 10 times. I promise you. In fact, my workload was reduced. My level of stress was reduced from those $80,000 to $100,000 a year years. So it made a significant difference in the way I felt, not just financially, but how well I slept at night, things I worried about when I was on vacation. and the types of questions I worried about getting.
And I would imagine that a lot of that had to do with not, the stuff that you added to your business, but probably a great deal of that was stuff that you removed from your business.
Oh yeah. Very, very good point. Very good point. Yep.
So tell me how you've this platform, because I talked about, I use the analogy of the Batman suit, the Superman suit, and, without feeling like there may be more to it than just the suit. Tell me about, as far as other folks that have plugged into this, kind of what's occurred or what you've seen happen as you've allowed other financial advisors around the country to plug into this platform.
Yeah, good question. Good question. Because I remember, again, early in my career when I would see big producers and hear what they were doing, there would be this question in the back of my mind, which was, can I really do this? I mean, I know they tell me I can, but can I really do it? And I've never thought to myself that I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. And so those were big questions. Those are big questions for me. We've been selling the software. This is the application that really does all the calculations and creates the illustrations that we use with our clients. We've been selling the software now for 7 or 8 years. And we've noticed advisors all over the country having the same experiences that I'm having. They're seeing the light flip on for their clients. And when their clients are sold on the strategy and sold on what the advisor does for them, it increases referrals, increases revenue, gets them in front of better people. Now, what we didn't have 7 or 8 years ago was a real uniform way to educate the client and to market the practice. So we've created over the last 7 or 8 years not only books, a book that a client can give to a client, have them read in story format what the strategy is, but we've included packets that you can give to centers of influence, packets that you give to clients during account reviews to remind them that if somebody asked them who their financial advisor was, they don't have to dig through my card and to come up with a 2-minute elevator speech trying to remember what I do for them. They just give them this packet, and it guides them right down the path. We've created whiteboard presentations that advisors can use and that are hosted on a customized website for the advisor, and use that as a primer for their prospects. So we put a lot of effort into really, what's the word I'm looking for? Just really make the process uniform.
Yeah, well, to me, what you're describing and what I've seen of your of the products that you have in there, to me, the software that you have is the utility belt that on the Batman suit. But to me, this extra stuff that you have in there is the cape. I'm talking about the stuff that you have that people could spend years developing and putting together that creates instant credibility, I call them, instant confidence builders that they can hand out. Cause most people, it's one of those things that, at best will take them, years through trial and error put together. At worst, it's one of those that stays in there. I'm going to get to that, list that they never actually get to. But for the people to be able to pull out and give books, a really good educational book, and to be able to give professional, collateral, marketing collateral that is, done for them that they just plug into, that's tremendous.
Yeah, it's really been a game changer for the advisors that have used software and really been converted to the strategy. This makes educating the clients so much easier and just so turnkey, to use a word that's always used.
Yeah, well, I think that's the bottom line is it allows them to go from, like you talked about, selling their services based on a scoreboard to making their prospects feel that they truly are educators and advocates for their success, which to me is a bargain at any price. Right. Yeah. And gives them an ability to choose them. So let me ask you this. How can folks that are in this they're financial advisors in this industry, how can they find out more about the possibilities of potential to plug into this Last Advisor platform?
Okay, great question. First and foremost, go to our website, www.lastadvisor.com. There we have all samples of all the tools. You can see some of the world-class e-learning modules that teach the advisors. You can see and read about all of this collateral that we're talking about. You can see examples of the software and the illustration. You can even read the first chapter of that book that we referenced. But then throughout the site, you can just request some information, and we'll overnight you a box that will contain one of everything, so that you can actually touch it, see it, read it, spend the night going over it, and that I think is going to be the best way for you to get a feel for this thing. And then of course, give us a call. We would love to talk to you about it. We've got good people that know a lot about this stuff and are anxious to answer questions and see if it's right for you guys, if it's right for your practice, if it works for you. So I think. In short, go straight to the website. You'll see a lot of things there that'll help. And
give out that website URL once more.
You bet. www.lastadvisor.com. That's LASTADVISOR.com.
Stephen Swensen, I want to thank you for being on Influencers Radio today. To me, that's your ability to not only just help these financial advisors, but also I think that success definitely is passed on to their clients and their clients' family in successful investment advisement. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, there you have it. Check it out, lastadvisor.com. This is, and if you're not in the financial, advising industry, you may know someone and potentially even, pass this on to your advisor if you have one, because it is some incredibly strong and powerful stuff. So until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.